Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Hi, Sam Tolbert in a relaxed mode. I'm attempting something that I haven't tried yet on the new system, streaming to 2 locations at the same time. And I'm trying to verify that the sound is getting to my Facebook page. And right now I can't verify that. Give me a second to rewire my audio. Let's see, I want to do this. I'm here, just should have set this up before I went live. Okay, let's do this one. 1 2. Okay, that's the one I want to change. Testing 1 2. Okay, any good sound man should know his setup. So now I believe I can reroute my audio signal through to you. Okay, that should send a signal there. Now, what is the other change I need to make? Okay, let's change this. And now that should be routed through there. 1 2 1 2. Should be louder than that. Okay, I think I got it now. Alrighty, let's go live. Uh-oh. Nope, 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 nope. Cancel. Why can I spell the word? Live streaming on both YouTube and Facebook. Okay, now we can go live on Facebook. How is everyone doing? Okay, we are now live on Facebook. I want to verify that I can hear myself, so give me another second to scroll to my own page. There I am. Let's see if I can hear myself. 1 2 3 4 5. This doesn't work, then I'll. Okay, so I don't hear. Verify my settings now. Dee dee doo 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 doo. How are you doing, those that are coming in? I'm trying to set up streaming to my YouTube page at the same time, and I don't hear any volume there. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Interactivity, distribution. If you are here on the YouTube side, put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. I probably should have streamed the way I normally do. I wanted to be able to have reactions from both chat rooms so that I don't have to worry about getting secondary information, but I'm not seeing. Why is there no sound? Okay, I hope you can hear me, sir. If you can hear me, give me an indication with a 1 in the chat. Do you hear me? Okay, I already see from my Facebook page, no sound. Let's see. You can hear me. Great. Thank you. Not being heard on the Facebook side, and I got it assigned to the same device on the YouTube side. Yes, I am a technician. Technicians has to look at every aspect of what they're doing to see why a signal is not going to where it should be going. Video, give me a Thank you. Thank you. That's just on the YouTube side, you can hear me. I'm chatting with my brother on the Facebook side, and he says he can't hear me. Checking in, Doc. I'm ready for class. Hey, how you doing, T? Trying to multi-stream at the same time so I don't leave anybody out, and didn't test it before. All right, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to end the video on Facebook. Let's end it here. And I will restart it. Okay, so we know we got sound from an old video. Please forgive me. I'm usually more organized than this, so this is a good way to see that I shouldn't start something until I've tested first. So let's try this again. Back into Facebook, go live. Select media source. Okay, that's who we selected. Now, microphone. Selecting our main amplifier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I can't see whether or not it's welcome to those who are coming in. I'm trying to establish a YouTube, a Facebook link also. Here we go. Let's do this. All right, got the camera set up. I've assigned it to the same device I'm speaking to you through. Let's go live here on. Thank you for those who are coming in. You're catching me in a mode where I'm usually all set up first. Now let me verify that my signal is coming through on the Facebook side. Okay, I just popped in on my Facebook page. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. And I hear nothing. Give me a chance to go into my system and see if the signal is not being routed correctly. Okay, I'm looking at my signal routing. 1, 2, 3, and I don't see any activity there. All right, so let's go in. Let's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, let's keep that here. Go there. Input. 1, 2. No, it's going through the back. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay, so we have a signal now going to where it's being routed out at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is the fun part of anything technology-wise. Let me see. Because there's always a delay. One, two. So why am I getting? All right. I may just have to do it like I normally do. Just share the screen while I work out this setup. Playback. That don't work. Hardware input. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Things look good on the OBS side. Input signals. There's the inputs. Routing is going out. One, two, 1, 2. One, two, 1, 2. I'm changing so many settings in my so many settings in the software. I know I'm messing it up before when I do anything else. But I don't hear anything. Oy, this is uncomfortable. All right, let's put things back the way they were. You were custom mix. You were stereo. You were 2, 1 and 2. No, you were also custom mix. All right, I'm going to do a full reset. Restore factory defaults. One, two. Boy, this better be good tonight with all this time I'm wasting. Okay, getting the sound back to all the different spots. The reset took place. That's fine again. And let me stop. Just alerting those on my Facebook that I will have to share this page, and I don't know if I can share it. Oh yes, I can. I just have to go into the actual YouTube video and share the page. So let me do that. That I do know how to do. Let's get out of this. Again, forgive me for the delay. I thought I could just do this and it would work. There we go. Posting the page on my site. Thought I was posting the page on my site. No, that's not it. Let's delete that. I trust everyone is doing okay, those who are coming in. Yeah, that's the video. That's up right now.
Congratulations on building a team. Ready or not, remember this. It doesn't
But it shouldn't say live viewer request. It should say, do you hear what I hear? Alrighty. It's like I gotta restart everything. Okay, your current live stream. There it is. There I am. And I can hear. Now let's share this. Okay, better. All right. So perhaps I can watch from two different locations. I trust everyone, again, is doing well. And my attempt is to have a talking session. Of course, share some music, maybe infringe on some YouTube copyrights if I pull up some songs live and just air them enough to. There we go. My voice is good. Subject matter. Do you hear what I hear? A song that is relative to the Christmas season, but I'm using it as a question for those who are allowing me to share my techniques to learning songs. I think when you've been out here now, I think 2006 was when I began on the YouTube platform, and I've been sharing close to 2,000 videos now, just from my standpoint. Yet I've never heard what any of the musicians who are asking me assistance sound like. So the question that I'm raising, you know, I don't hear you, but you hear me. Has what I've been sharing with you been beneficial in getting you from point A in your music to point B, and then from point B to point C as the years go by? My goodness, 2006, we're coming up on is it 18 years? 17 years so far. We're going to do, if we go into 2024, it will be 18 years of my um, giving of myself, of my talent, of my ability to interpret other musics that has been that I can hear, and assisting musicians who are in that same phase of life I was as a young musician as to what am I hearing, and when I sit down to the keyboard or to a piano or to an organ, can I replicate that sound without an instructor being right there? So, is your music sounding the way you want? Are you, when you sit down and you start playing, hearing what you hear and what I don't hear? That's what I want to be able to talk about, to have chat about. Of course, I'm set up for music also. I've got the actual raw set. The lights are not on, but it's a very raw look at it. Not this one. Where are you? There we go. Which is what you have in front of you, just a keyboard, no electronics telling you what the notes are or what the name of an actual chord is. So that's my actual raw scene to show you that I don't rely on electronics to tell me what chord I'm playing, but I rely on what I've ingested from books and from other videos now on YouTube where they're saying, "Oh, this is a dominant seventh chord or a drop two," which I had to get the understanding of what an actual drop two chord was. And I go, "Well, gee, I've been doing that for years. I just did not have the knowledge of what it was, what term was actually designated to it." So now I had to go back to all the songs that I heard it from. And I go, "Oh, okay, so that's the approach they're using. Now that I know what it sounds like, I can talk to that." So I always look to see, um, is my message and my support from an instructor, not a teacher, because I don't look at myself as a teacher. I'm an instructor. I'm giving you what I use, not just today, but yesterday also, which helped me become more comfortable in listening to music. So this is open communication for those that are here. I see we have 9 currently in the chat. I'm going to do what a lot of YouTubers do: hit that like button. Let me see that you enjoy. If what I'm giving to you, you like what I'm saying, hit that like button so I can see your response. That lets me know that you're hearing what I'm saying and that you have questions or concerns or song. Again, I'm willing to pull up a song in the YouTube space. There are things that they can do to mitigate any kind of a copyright infringement I might make if I pull up a song live. But I'd like to be able to be as transparent in what I am giving you in my approach to not just playing gospel music, but any kind of music. I realize in the chat there's always a 30-second delay. So if you have any questions, this is a good time to post it in the chat. I see we have 2 that have already uh, acknowledged that they're here, which I always like to know that someone is here. I have 7 current viewers. I'm actually going to like my own video just so I can see that come up. So I just liked my own video. And I am sharing with the Facebook audience. So if the Facebook audience would like to come over to YouTube, actually I'm going to go to my Facebook page where I am streaming this, sharing it rather, and see if I can share conversation there. I'm on that page now. Let's turn down the volume here so that Actually, the Facebook audience is sent to YouTube when they open that up, which I did not know because I've never checked that. That's good to that's good to know. Okay. So those who are on Facebook, oh no, I'm sorry. Yes, it does send you. So if you do click on the video from my site, it brings you directly to the Facebook. Excuse me, it brings you to the YouTube page. So you have an opportunity to sync in with what I'm doing from the Facebook page. So are there any questions? Hey, how you doing, DB? Oh, thank you. Um, I always considered my ability to interpret music a gift in one sense. Having never had someone actually uh, critique what I do musically, other than some church musician who says, "Oh, you play, you play dope, doc," and I'm going, "Oh, gee, okay, thanks, that's nice." But I always try to use the approach of, can I sound like the musician on the album or the song that I'm hearing? That is the level of expertise I want to interpret. And then when I start to throw in what I feel what I feel like throwing in to any particular song, then I can say, okay, that's not part of the song, but it's just me throwing in a bunch of other chords. Sometimes I need you to slow it down and teach it, allow me to see your grasp of what your chords and movement are. DB, I have um, always used the analogy that I don't know who the musicians are that I'm assisting, and if when they don't, as you say, ask me to slow it down, I won't know that. So I'm always looking to slow my chords. I'll hold them, and in the videos I will say I'm holding this chord so that you can see it. You can see the hand placement. You see the actual video or the chat GPT placement. You see the name of the chord, and then I can't hold it too long because there the other musicians who are of a faster skill set will now become bored and say, hey, you're taking too long. I need to know this part of the song. But because I don't have that kind of communication, which is why this type of a stream right now is really important to me, I need to know what it is that I need to change about how I'm doing my videos that can be of a better assistance to you. If you had suggested a song, let's say you suggested a song in the comment section, I want to learn this song. I have no way of going directly back to you and saying, okay, how much of the song do you know? Do you know the key? Do you know the phrasing? Is it the intro? Is it the drive? Is it the vamp? I have no way of knowing that. And I try to keep the videos under 10 minutes so they don't become, people get bored, because YouTube gives me my actual analytics, and it tells me how long someone's attention span stays on a song. And usually it averages between a minute and a half to 4 minutes, depending upon the song. So if I make a 30-minute video and take the time to script it out and cover as much as I can to see that it's only going to be watched for 4 minutes, that's time I will never get back in my life. So I really try to minimize. I used to try to do the intros. I took out doing the intros. Let's go the middle of the song, first set of patterns, second set of patterns, the third set of patterns, and then I do it to the end, which is why you may see it be so quick, because I'm not aware of exactly the skill set of the viewer that's requesting. But what I would say, that if you do request a song, or if you see a song that I have done and you want to learn it and I've made it too fast, put it in the comment and cover and let me know what section of the song that I went through too fast, and I got no problem redoing just that section, because I need to know who I can help and in what area that I can help them in. T Dumb, man, it's plain as day. One has to understand the chord types and the basics to be able to understand you, number system, etc. You have to know the basics to be able to speak the language. And you can pause and go back on the lives. I do all the time, brother. Oh, okay. I have no problem with members of the chat talking to each other, because you can help each other as learning musicians. I'm still a learning musician also. Every time I learn a new song that I've never heard before, I have to now tear that song apart too in my hearing and go, okay, and because I get in, um, what's the word I want to say? I get excited when I'm learning a song I've never learned before because now it's like, oh, okay, look at how this song has been put together. Why did he go that way? Look at this chord. Look at that chord that maybe a past song that because I was so quick to learn it for the next choir rehearsal, I missed all of that. Also, YouTube does give you the ability to slow down a video, but you don't lose the actual pitch. So that will always be an option for you. And of course, again, I pay attention to every comment because it comes across in my analytics every comment. And in fact, let me see if I can do this. Who can I put it in? Let's put it in this one. Good to know that I'm not paying attention as to whether or not I'm being heard. So we go back in time. These are YouTube request videos. I started tracking them because I was getting so many of them, I couldn't keep up by how many were being created. But I want to be able to show you that I keep, every time there's a request made on any video that I have, I keep a track of it and any information that they give to me as what they want done to the song. That's how important I look at video request. I can't get that word out. And the last check, I was over 360 requests for breakdowns of songs. Now you can imagine, some of these songs I knew, the majority of them I didn't. But the ones which were congregational, they went easy. They went first because they were easier to learn. the ones I didn't know, I had to go back to the video and learn the song and then come back and try to make a 10-minute video showing as much as I could on that song. And I try to cover every request. Now, when it's a song that has so much uh, orchestration in it that it's going to take me longer than 45 minutes to learn, then I would table that song and go and do the ones that are easier. As you can see, I had to start to make them in bold so that I could see what song they wanted and be able to keep up with it because there were just so many. This is probably, I'm going to say, a year and a half a year and a half of requests for songs. And as you can see, it just keeps going and 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 keeps going because I don't want anyone who makes a request of me to feel that I'm not paying attention. And I think we're coming up to the last ones where we are now. And that's where we are now. Some of these I actually did cover today, those last two there. That's a lot of listening of music for me and then sitting to the keyboard and looking at, okay, if I were teaching someone, were here and I was teaching them this song, what should I cover first? And you will always see that I will cover the scale, the Nashville chord system, as I, again, saw where a lot of musicians were brought up under the number system. And I always had a concern about how the number system teaches you an intro to a song that has a lot of movement, because I always want musicians to learn how to become the best musician they can, not just playing chords. And chords is what the number system does. In the 1 you're playing this chord, in the 2 you're playing this chord, in the 6 you're playing that chord. But what about the music that leads you to those chords? Yeah, that's a lot of requests. Well, no, what happens is every video that I post, someone will, or two people might request a song from that post. So every one of those comments are from multiple videos that I have. Because generally, I always end my videos with, again, subscribe to the channel, give me a like, and post a comment. So when a comment is posted, I see that post come up in my window, in my analytics. I automatically screen copy it, paste it on this site, and I add it on the list. This way I don't miss anyone. As I say, as a young musician when I was coming up, that support was not there for me. If I had struggling with a song, I was just struggling with a song. I did not want to be offering and I'll use the term free service on YouTube to freely give of my expertise and my technique, and someone is requesting to or struggling with learning a song merely because there's no one in their area. I often like to think that the only reason why people come to my site because they're not getting help in their own local area. So if I'm the last resort in some cases, I don't want to turn anybody away. And certainly I don't want to say, buy this plan. Although I do have a Patreon site where I offer more insight to a song than I do here on YouTube, because some things YouTube won't allow me to do. My Patreon site, I can do whatever I want. That's what I do there. I even offer on my Patreon site free MIDI files. And I'm actually creating a whole series of Christmas MIDI files for the Christmas season for those on my Patreon site, because they are supporting me with a fee, which is not a problem, because they're getting extra from me than what I can do here on YouTube. How you doing, Daniel? So I'm always conscious as to how can I help a musician or every musician that comes to me. Music is a wonderful tool, not just for the listener, but for the person who's actually performing it. And you should have access, or at least an opportunity to see all the information that you could use to help you discover what sound do you have in you. Again, do you hear what I hear? How can I help you to sound the way you want to sound? Like DB, um, when you're playing a song, do you play the intro to a song? I'm just asking that as a question. In fact, I may just make that a general question so those can see. I'm a good typist too. When you play songs, do you play the intro? Because the intro is the introduction to the song. You might hear the vamp in it. You might hear the verse in it. Um, like the song "Oh Lord, How Excellent Is Thy Name." You hear the entire song in the intro and the piano starting high, working its way down, and it throws in a few jazz chords on the way down. That helps you to recognize, oh, I know what that song is. Oh Lord, how excellent, because of how the intro goes. So if you were playing a song of that type, do you play the intro? Because I think I did do a series 2020, 2021, intros to songs, because I wanted to know or see if people can guess what the intro was, or what the intro sounds like. I got 2 likes. I appreciate that. YouTube likes when they see the likes come up on the videos also. Oh, I missed a statement. It wasn't there for me either. It was people like you who began to make learning some of this stuff accessible. I have been following you for years. Oh, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Um, I don't feel tired, to be honest with you, doing this, because think I have put in my time in the workforce, 48 consecutive years of working hard too, and then 46 consecutive years supporting 3 different denominations and giving them the best of what I have. So this period of time that I have now, I devote towards helping to get that next musician on their feet and off and running. A lot of times when I learn the intro, after I learn the meat of the song, unless the intro, some verse to chorus, okay. Again, sometimes the intro seems harder to play than the song. Yeah, when it's one of those songs where musicians are allowed to just run amok with it. There's a couple of songs that I was asked to break down. I usually try to include the intro so that the learner will get more into the lesson. But then I say, gee, it's going to take me 45 minutes to an hour and a half just to break down what this intro is doing. Because again, I can always tell when a songwriter writes a song and when an actual producer writes a song, because a producer lets everybody come in and throw their take on it. And I go, you know what? It sounds pretty, but it doesn't help the actual song. T Drums, I just found your page a couple of months back, but your material is gold. I really also have to do is sit and study the material is there. Um, T Drums, I have, I say it's over 1,900 videos. You're gonna be there a while. The earlier videos that I did were me with a camera, just playing with my keyboard, figuring out what this YouTube thing was. So majority of the earlier, I would say 2006 to 2010, was just me saying, hey, this is the song, this is how I play it, this is how it can be played. Watch my fingers, because you always saw the image of a keyboard and my hands going to the keyboard, letting you see where the notes were. As I got a faster and a stronger computer, I began to add text into it, where I would now put the chord names or the melody names over the keyboard to help the musician look at the keyboard, know that I'm playing a flat chord. and I would spell out, this is the A flat 7, and I would spell out that. It wasn't until 2020 when I upgraded my computer that I was able to get the Cordy app to work with the software. So now you can see an electronic look at what the chord names were, which made it now teaching. And it was sold as an actual teaching tool where you can now see not only my hands on the keyboard, but an actual digital response. For those who may not be aware, I won't say I actually pioneered a camera, overhead camera, but I know that I was the only one doing an overhead camera back in the early days of teaching on the internet, and others began to implement that in their videos. I purposely put it overhead because that's the only way a musician can see how I'm forming my hands over the keys if they could see a overhead view. Now others picked up on that because I was watching as other content creators came out. Let's see if I can pull up that scene. Let's get rid of this. One, two, three. Just turn on a light. If I can reach it. There we go. Don't fall. This was for years my presentation on the internet for musicians to be able to hear me play, and not only hear me play, but see where my hands were. Not just, this camera that I'm using right now to do this is probably 12 years old, and I loved it because I'm able to do this. I got to see, again, I messed up all my inputs, so now the sounds are different. Okay, there we go. There we go, better. So this was gold for me because now I can show not only the chords, but how I'm able to move across the screen musically. Everyone else that was watching me that is now doing their own video got their ideas and approach of the overhead, I would like to believe, from watching me. Of course, they were more adept at how they were going to build their platforms. Welcome, Bob. Hey, Jeff, welcome. But this is the approach that I used in my earlier days on YouTube because I wanted musicians to see that I'm not hiding any chords from them. Let me turn this off. So if I did this chord, now what you don't see is the actual chord name. That's what I didn't have in the early days. But as my pocketbook resolved with technology, I can now add in the Cordy app, and now you can see what the chord name is that I'm playing. For those that, and again, because I don't know the actual skill set of the musicians who watch me in the YouTube platform and on Facebook also, I don't know your skill set. So there may be some that are saying, hey, play the chords. I don't need to know what the chord names are. Then there are some that want to know, well, what's the name of that chord that you're playing? Rather than go look it up in a book, I can let the Cordy app break it down for me, and as I remove each finger, you'll see all the names change on the chord until it gets down to its root. And as I add notes to it, the name of the chord changes. So to be able to actually have that concept was always wonderful for me to be able to now show more. Again, why hide the chords that I play? Now, if I'm playing it too fast, that's the information that I need to know, because I may have to create a series, which I have done. I do have chord series, building chords in gospel music that are used in learning gospel music. But when you're learning an actual particular song, then I may need to well, slow down, maybe the maybe extend it, I should say, by an extra 5 minutes, and just really give the meat of the song. Because playing music is supposed to be enjoyable. You're not supposed to get frustrated. If frustration is there, and if I'm adding to that frustration, that is not my desire. I'm supposed to help diffuse a lot of that frustration. And as I say, because I don't know how musicians sound, I don't know if showing you how the chord is used in the song at the speed and tempo in the song is a help or an actual hindrance. As I say, when you see me run my fingers across the keyboard, it's only because I've done this for years. So if I hear somebody doing Hezekiah Walker, let me put on my headphones so I can hear it correctly. The Hezekiah Walker song, see, anyway, you bless me. If I were to do that at the speed of the song, let me see. Is that the one? Or is it My Help Cometh from the Lord? Now, if you can't, if your fingers, if you don't have a bass hand, then it does me no good to show you, oh, this is how this goes, and you don't have a smooth operating left hand. That's going to give you frustration. If I'm showing you if you can't do that, that's going to be frustrating. Because I didn't learn that part until someone asked me to break the song down. Because then I had to listen to it and I go, oh, gee, I never added that in the song because I just had to learn it for the choir. I would just do. But when I listened to the actual recording again, I heard the. I said, oh, look at what I left out of the song. Why should I worry? Why should I fret? Look at all the ways I looked at the. So if you don't have an understanding of the E flat minor scale, if you don't have an understanding of the E flat minor scale and the chords in G flat that go to if you don't have that, I can add to your frustration, because I'm thinking that if you all you wanted to know was how can you best add to what you know in that particular song. So it can become frustrating, why we have to maybe slow it down. Where I may have to do this. No, this is the wrong one to do it on. Let's go to, who are you into? Product demo, right. How much closer can I get? So if I have to do this to help you get comfortable, and break it down to that standpoint, then that's what I need to know. Because you should never feel intimidated by a song that you want to learn how to play, especially if you want to learn it for your church. This music thing is supposed to be an expression of joy. When you see an actual jazz musician playing, he actually singing along. I've actually heard myself when I'm videotaping singing along. I said, "Gee, why was I making all that noise?" Because I was hearing the notes, and I was enjoying what I was hearing. If I'm going dun 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 E D. And usually I don't hum unless I'm trying to find a chord and I've missed a chord incorrectly. Every promise kept. There we go. So it's when you're doing this music thing, and you're looking to share what it does for you when you're learning a song and you're playing a song without having the feedback from the, I won't call you guys students, but fellow colleagues in the music industry who participating in music. I'll never know if what I'm doing is at your level or am I helping to bring you to another level if I'm not aware of where your level is. Oh yes, because in my early days as an instrumentalist, I was a French horn mellophone player, and the teacher that was teaching music in my high school not only was a music teacher, but he was a professional musician who wrote songs and who had his own band and had his own traveling band. So I was trained by a actual musician, and I can hear in his teaching his passionate feel for music and how it should and could sound. And then the music that he would actually present to us was on professional sheet music. We weren't learning, this is book 101, turn to page 10, and we're going to learn to play this, the, Star Spangled Banner. He would write music and would write it if though he was writing for his band. So he was really my biggest influence. Mr. Alexander Altieri, an Italian guy. He was my biggest influence in the appreciation of music. We used to have music appreciation classes where we would hear about the different writers, classical writers, Beethoven and Bach. Music that, believe it or not, that other music people borrowed their chords and used in their songs. All these minor chords you hear in some of these songs, that's from Beethoven and Bach. Now again, I did not have a formal piano teacher to teach me, what is that song that everybody learns? I always try to emulate it. Let me see and see. I didn't have a formal music teacher, so I never got a chance to learn this, but I would hear videos of other people playing it, and I would go, what are they doing on the right hand? On the left hand, So I would teach myself, gee, what fingers do you use? Well, which ones are comfortable? So I can hear both sides of it, putting it together. And as you can see, unless I really concentrate, I will struggle with it. I would struggle with that. And a student one-on-one would probably laugh at me. He'd go, oh, you can't do that? Everybody can do that. I go, no, I can't do that, but I can do this. And then I would laugh back at them and give a smirk. Can you do that? And the kid would probably go somewhere and start and feel kind of bad. I go, but that's what I do. I listen to something as basic as it is, and how could I take that and flip it around? But still, wish I knew. I'm sure it's just playing the scales, but because no instructor, no teacher, or even going to a YouTube video to see how it's properly done, I'll mess it up. But then I'll change keys. That's what I learned, the interpretation of taking something that is a standard and how much can I add to it. And it's all just music. Teach me to do this one. I used to do this one. There it is. To have the chord. Wow, and I haven't done that one in years, which is why I'm struggling to find the chords. I would just flip to make it interesting for me to play, since I did not have an instructor to show me the correct way to do this. that's how I compensate for not having a formal piano teacher. I go, well, gee, if I learned to do this like this, I would have changed it and would have started changing keys right there in class. D, E minor. F sharp. Da, 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 dum, ba, da, ba, bum. B. G minor. Da, 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 da. F sharp with a 7. G, there it is. The classical turn. See, once I think through the actual path of a song, the chords will find themselves. I'm in a G minor. A, D. Now I got the path. E minor. Enough for my, again, whenever I get into something, all of a sudden I begin to do the practice things I used to do and try to emulate it in every key pre-transpose button. Back in my day, there was a piano and an organ and no transpose button, and I wanted to be fluent in playing the same thing in any key I could possibly be in, so I would find the path, which is generally through the scales, minor scale, major scales, what keys are we going into, and then once I found that path, I committed to memory and then play. By that time, I was ready to learn the next choir song. But again, a lot of musicians of this era will not have had music in their high school, a music teacher who's actually an actual professional musician who loved music more than life itself. Again, he was a traveling musician. When he wasn't playing, when he wasn't teaching, he was taking his band, playing at gigs at different hotels in upstate New York and having a ball doing it. I had often thought of when I got into my retirement age, I actually joined the local 802 Musicians Union because I've had thoughts of playing gospel music on cruise ships, that would come out of the New York City area. You know, a 7-day cruise, and I would get a chance to do a set, perhaps with a off Broadway group or someone that was doing a gospel show, where I could sail the local seas, not the seven seas, and do gospel music. So I positioned myself to be in a musicians union. I'm no longer in it now because I was paying a lot of money and not taking advantage of what they offer. But the thought was, when my church days or musician days go, I still want to take my music on the road, which I couldn't do as a youngster playing for a church and raising a family and doing a full-time job. So there was always going to be a path. YouTube and the internet allows me to participate in the path of passing on uh, the instructions that I learned without an actual teacher to many who were in the same position I was as a youngster. The desire to play, but no one there who could have the time. I'll use that word to be polite. The time to teach. TTT, time to teach. Any questions? Sometimes I can get to talking, and when I play back these videos, I'm like, why you talk so much? Jeff, I hope I acknowledged you when you came in. I did see when you came in. Sometimes I can get on the conversational talking. If you knew me early in my life, you couldn't get 2 words out of me, but plenty of music. Are there any questions? This is a more or less a conversational stream. I do want to hear musically, verbally from you musically. Am I meeting your needs as an instructor? Because I actually do pay attention to all of the other YouTube instructors, and there are many of them. And every day I'm seeing a new one pop up around the world. And when I see the audience response that they get, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, gee, what am I not giving that I don't get that same audience response? Perhaps I am forcing too much music into a audience that really just wants to get comfortable finding the notes on the keyboard. I try to be there for the full-time active church musician who was pressed into service because the previous musician went on to their next assignment. That's a polite way of saying that they got bought off by another church. And now the musician who was second fiddle or third fiddle now finds themselves in the front row seat and totally lost as to what they're going to do because the previous musician only told them, you just play this, and I got this part of it. Fortunately, in my time as a church musician, I wasn't the actual primary musician for the first 9 years. I was the piano player when there was an organist, but I made sure I learned every song so that when he was not there and I was now asked to step in to support, I wasn't lost. I knew the song, I knew the parts, and it was actually seamless. But when he came back to the piano I went. This is why you see me as adapt as I am playing piano as when I in the organ mode, because I'm really an organist. That was where I cut my teeth on learning on the organ, dual manuals, 4 sets of drawbars, foot pedals, tremolo, percussion. That's really where I'm at my best. Piano is a love because of the um, simplicity of the tone, and that when it'll only play as loud as you hit it. I play for enjoyment, but I would like to advance from the beginner stage. I know basic chords, but struggle with the walk up, down, and gospel turnarounds. Yeah, Barb, those are the musical influences of the musicians of an earlier day who were transitioning from playing hymns and anthems and now beginning to hear jazz musicians enter into the church world. And I'm going to, because I wasn't there, I was there during the 70s when I started playing, but I was under the trained organist and the trained pianist, and I could hear them play note for note in a hymnal, but not add sevenths, thirteenths, and turnarounds in their music. They would just play the hymnal straight the way that it's in the hymn book. And fortunately, I would put a hymn book in front of me and follow their notes and go, okay, that's where their notes are going. Because again, I could read notes as an instrumentalist, but not as a piano player. Self-teaching, of course, got me more comfortable as seeing four staffs of notes. And I'm going, okay, I can read the first line, the second line, but what's this bass clef line? Oh, where's that going? Took time for me to get comfortable. I'm still not very comfortable doing that, but I'm comfortable enough to hear the melody and the harmony of the three parts and then chord that out, and then of course add the seasoning. um, I always stress that musicians find a song that they can play the best. When I do take on a student, I always ask them to first of all play me the scales. And I make, because I want to hear their fingering, number one. Did they learn it correctly? Do they know where middle C is? Do they know where B flat is? Do they know where B major is? Can they play a B major scale? Then I'll ask them to play me their best song, because I want to see if you can play the scale. I'll say, okay, play me the melody of that song. And okay, see, that song starts in the one. So no, I want the melody of that song. I didn't ask for the chords, the melody, because the melody tells me, do you hear the melody of a song, or do you just hear the chords? So when you talk of struggle with the walk-ups and the gospel turnarounds, when you're listening to a song, can you hear when it's a walk-up or when it's a turnaround? By a walk-up, I would mean, I'm just going to assume, let me just use that word assume, that how they maneuver around the melody of a song, and then how they be able to play the chords, which is a pattern that turns the song from one area and then takes it back to another place. And let me do this example, because the example is always better than me just talking. If you're learning, I can hear it like this. When you're playing a song, key of C, if let's take This Little Light of Mine, that is built in the scales. Entirely in the scales. So when I take on a musician for instructions, I always tell them I need to hear where you are right now. So I'll ask them, play me the melody. If I hear them doing this, let me see, I'm going to do the one, and then the four. Then I'll stop them right there. I said, okay, play me the scale. And I said, oh, okay, what scale? Please. Okay, go another octave. And that is not to criticize a musician that takes a course with me, because I need to hear musically where they are. Do they know the range of the instrument that they're on? I'll ask them, how many keys on your keyboard? What's the brand that you're using? Are you wearing headphones when you practice, or are you playing through the built-in speakers? What are you hearing? Because the only way to hear what a musician is playing is to be able to hear, physically hear the notes. I do all my lessons with the headphones on, because if I make a mistake, I want to be able to hear it. So if I were to say, okay, play for me This Little Light of Mine, 2 octaves, both hands, I can see the fear in some of their faces. No, don't rush it. Just find the notes and just play it through. Now you hear the highest note and the note in between. in between this space of 2 octaves, look at all these other notes. This is where we begin to build the chords. You've got all those notes in between that octave. Look at all those notes that are in between these octaves. That's where I teach from. Now you haven't heard me call out the number system yet, because musically I want the musician that's getting instruction from me to hear the actual music. Because once you hear the music, you add on everything else. For me, that's where a musician should be able to start their understanding. Can you hear the melody in the scale? Can you do the octave of the melody? And now can we fill in the notes that are in between the octaves? Because from there, you begin to expand. Bum, bum. Now you get to learn the jazz portion. And now you begin to add in all the other elements of jazz that fit that particular song. Now you can stay traditional. Bum, 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 bum. 4. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine. Now I'm adding in the elements of stride, the elements of classical, the elements that an actual jazz musician would do. All of the other notes that are also in this range. Of course, the left hand has its own notes also. Not just bass, but assisted chording. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. A flat, B flat, and back to C. So I always want to give a musician the opportunity to let me hear where they are before I make my assessment. Not critique, but my assessment. Because I want them, as you say, Barb, you want to move up from what you have been doing. I want you to get as proficient in what you know right now, so that when you move up and you introduce another concept of playing the songs that you are familiar with, should you go beyond where you, as I say, get lost, you can always go back to what you know. I would always teach musicians, you always have your home chords. Your home chords are the 1, the 4, and the 5, and the 6. So that you ever go outside of that, you can always go home, back to those home chords. I just went outside of the, outside of it. Now Now, if I get lost, I can always go back to home. I'm gonna let it back to the 6, minor 2, minor 5, 6, 2, 5, 1. There we go. The drop 2. There it is. I had to hear what that change would sound like and just keep messing it up until I can hear it like I want to, what it to sound like. The drop down, drop 2. There it is. There it is. Let's go. There it is. There we go. I had to work on that, not knowing that it was called drop 2, but because that's what I've heard other musicians use that in jazz, and I wanted to so badly be able to, at any time, go to that type of tone, less notes, but spread out like an anthem would be. So every song, not now, do I use that approach on every song? Well, you might hear it in a lot of my music, where I'll just go. My drop to you'll hear it in my playing because at that particular time, that's what I feel like doing. Depending upon, again, whatever that song, especially if it's a hymn, I'll always do drop 2 on the hymn. Only because that's what I practice, and then because I can hear or I want to hear a particular sound, I'll keep practicing it until I hear that sound, commit it to memory, and then go on to the next sound I want to hear. So Bob, I will always ask a musician that is taking a course, especially if they're actually paying for it, and I always tell them, you determine when your next lesson is, and I make sure I give them enough information so that they'll feel confident enough to be able to play what they've asked me to show them how to play. If it's a song or if it's a particular technique that's used in gospel music. I often don't talk that much to jazz other than the name of a chord because I'm not a jazz musician. So to say that, oh, I know all the jazz terminology, I'm still learning. I'm in the learning phase because I learned the gospel terminology that was prevalent in my day without someone to show me. No one showed me this. I had to hear that. Other musicians do it, and knowing that they won't share with me what they're doing, go back into my own study place, which is basically the keyboard or the Hammond organ my father had, and try to replicate that sound. And then go to each key. Go to And once I got comfortable doing just that little bit that I would hear other musicians do, I said, okay, I see where they're going. They're walking it up. I began to add my own touch to it. I would just begin to imagine if I'm in a situation where I need that walk up for a shout. Let's see if I can get a shout tempo here. Let's pull this up. Because this is important for me to be able to show musicians that you determine how fast you get to where you want to go musically. Get a shout tempo here. Let's go to A flat. I'm going to get a fast tempo. Come on. That's as fast as I can go. I would practice. Now, I didn't have a drum machine back in my day. Just turn that off. But I would practice bass notes, A flat. I would sit and practice in my head and change the tempo. Okay, this is a split bass. And then change. And change. That's what I would practice. Just to get comfortable. My hand can drop in place. While I'm talking to you, I see the pattern in my head while I'm talking to you, because I would practice just trying to be disciplined in what I'm doing. I'm missing. I don't do this one. I'm making it up as I go. Then my right hand would have to find the notes to support that. I'm thinking on my right hand while my left hand is going. I'm making my right hand stay in sync. Stay in sync. Practicing. All for an hour without a drum machine. Change, jazz, change. Whew. That was my practice regimen for getting comfortable playing shout music, so that when I found myself in a service and the tempo got hot, I was not crossed up. I was never crossed up. In fact, I could usually set the tempo. If I could see where there's going to be a slow shout, then I would, work it into a slow shout. And of course, again, when I'm on the piano, it's a lot different, because you're at the mercy of the organ, which is the the quintessential instrument, the loudest instrument in the church. So whatever tempo he set, if he was running away with it, then I would just hang it in. Again, trying not to bang, because you break strings on a Steinway back then. or sometimes you're not heard, but that's okay. I still worked on those things that I worked on my own. But but just the patterns alone, which I do have a video that shows all the patterns that I worked on with the note names written next to them. That was one of the earlier videos I had that has this pattern. And all I'm doing is scale notes, chromatic notes, just leaving out other notes, just leaving out notes that are not heard, that are not heard. And I would do it slow at first, with no one to show me what's the correct fingering for doing this. So I had to find what was comfortable for me when I was learning. Where is my? Did I do drop that? Oh, here it is. When I was learning shout patterns, okay, I did not know about the fingering. So I did whatever felt comfortable for me. Either right here or right here. Turn on the thumb. But when I did octaves, so I got comfortable with finding what feels easier for me to do. Keep that where I can find it. And I always made, especially when you're doing the praise music, I made it. It was an actual song to me. It had its beginnings. Rooted in the big band sound. Questions? Because again, I do talk a lot. I just want the what I'm offering, as I was alluding to, that I'm aware that I'm not the only um, I'm not the only musician whom you are taking instruction from. I'm well aware of that, and you shouldn't only be coming to me, because there are many musicians who have talents in instructing in where they are best suited. I am best suited for the musician who is actively in the church right now, that is being called upon to learn songs from my era, as the turn perhaps is coming from the CCM style of the number system, and you're called to play, or if there's an older minister that wants to hear a song he sung 40 years ago, and you're asking, well, does anybody know how to play this song 40 years ago? That's only, what, the 80s? Yeah, 80s. A lot of music came out in the 80s. I'm that guy. And I will give you what the song sounded like on the album. As you saw all of the viewer requests that I had, I'll go and listen to the original song, which I may not have learned in my day, or I did learn in my day, but didn't take the time to break it down for another musician. You learn it well enough so the choir can learn it for the rehearsal, and then you're singing it 2 weeks later in the service, and then you're moving on to 5 more songs. But I really do enjoy this part of my life where I'm able to share with musicians. Back to what my statement was, I recognize that you will listen to and visit other sites that are instructing you in music, and I would encourage you to do that. Don't just listen to what I'm showing you, because as DB said, you may need someone who has their lessons tailored towards breaking it down and giving you roadmaps as to how to get through a song. I'm for that musician that's in a church right now and needs to have this song for the next choir rehearsal, or it's a song that has been kicking them in the tail because it sounds like this on the recording, but you don't sound like that. That's what I like to be able to do, to be able to assist in showing you on the album, here's the chord they use, here's the fingering, here's how they approach that chord, and it's built upon this scale. My lessons are tailored, purposely designed so that after maybe 2 or 3 videos of mine, you don't need me anymore. Because I would have given you my roadmap to using scales, basic chords, and different tones, or not tone, but the different mode of what the song is. Was it built on a classical frame, hymnal frame, spiritual frame, jazz frame, urban gospel frame? Here are the chords that are associated with this style. They're not using a straight 1/4, but they're adding a ninth and a 13th note with this bass and then making this twist and turn. And once you recognize it in one song of that era, the next time you hear that in another song, you go, oh, that's the same chord I learned in this song. They just took off 3 notes and put this twist on it. So I don't look for musicians to stay with me. As I say, I've been out here now since 2006. I have currently 30,000 subscribers. There are some sites out here that have been out less time than I have, and they've got 70,000, 90,000 subscribers. And I wonder, gee, how did they get that many people? How did I miss them? Was what I'm giving them not what they wanted? So I'll go and subscribe to that particular site and get trained myself. Oh, so this is the style of music that I don't teach. Okay, that's good. When you go out to a restaurant, you don't just eat in one restaurant, and if they don't have what you want, you have every right to go to the next restaurant or to the next restaurant to get what you need. So, and I'm not in the spirit of competition where I have to now match what someone else is doing. I often laughed for as many years I've been pushing playing the scales before you learn a song. I'll watch the other sites now starting off their song playing the scale. And I go, yeah, I know where you guys got that from, because that's what I've been talking about for the last 20, almost 20 years. Find the key of the song you're in, play the major scale in that song, and then go from there so that you can hear every note that may be attached in that scale. That's a plus. That's one positive thing that I can appreciate other sites doing, that they are speaking the language of theory first before you get into the language of chords. Now, if I can see them get into the language of melodies and chords in that format, that would make my heart jump, because I've always been a melody chord guy, not a chord. Well, I would always see the talk. If you learn the bass of a song, you learn the song. And I'm like, but if the bass doesn't play but one note, and a chord can have as many as 10, how can a bass tell you how teach you a song? That one I still can't figure out. Yes, the bass is the lowest note in the string of chords and melodies, which is the anchor, which is what everything rides on. One change of the bass note can change the actual sound of that one chord. But as far as it teaching you a song, it'll teach you the number system. Yes, the bass is the one note or the one instrument that needs the number system to know if he's going to be playing in the sixth, then he won't know that it's a sixth chord being played. The other musicians will have to know the name of that chord in the structure of the music, but he'll know that he's got the anchoring note in place. In that case, with that understanding, I can see where the number system is necessary for a bass player. But for a musician, if you're going to be playing A major seventh with a flatted fifth, yes, that's what you need to know. Not that it is A major seven flatted fifth, A major seven flatted fifth. Not that it is a one chord. You need to know that is the chord that is being played in the one, and then that chord is going to resolve to maybe an A major with I'm seeing the chord A flat, A major, A flat major, A C, D, no, I can see the notes. A, C, E flat. The seventh note is the G. Flat the fifth would be a D. You can't hear that. This is how I look at music when I'm listening to it. If someone is going to call out the name of a chord, we're going to play an A flat. What did I say? A flat seven with a flatted fifth. There's your A flat. There's your seventh. There's the flatted fifth. Now I can call that out because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, flat the fifth. There's the flatted fifth, and there's the seventh note. A flat major seventh with a flatted fifth. If you put this note there, it's clashing. But that sounds horrible right there. But if you put if you're going to do a jazz tone, the lowest note sounds cleaner with an F. There's the major seven, there's with a flatted fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Flat is always half step down. That's the theory that musicians need to learn to know, could recognize what a chord sounds like, what a major chord sounds like, what a minor chord sounds like, augmented or diminished chord sounds like, what an augmented chord sounds like. In my music book, they call it the +5. Why? There's a fifth note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus, minus, right? In my music book, this is called an A flat +5. But the chord app is called an augmented chord. And this chord is also a half tone chord. It's also a half tone chord in the half tone scale. And you will hear me talk to the half tone scale because you hear this chord in a lot of songs. That's the full chord in jazz. Stand. After you've done all you can, after you've done all you can. There's that chord. There's the chord. It's all over music. But once you recognize what that tone sounds like and someone gives you the actual book knowledge that says this is what this chord name is. Again, my book will say a +5, the chord app will say an augmented chord. But once you recognize whoever it's called, whatever designated name, like children, what's the name of that child? What does that child sound like? Okay, sounds like this. Well, then that's the name of that child, chord-wise. And then you see how it's used in songs. You begin now to add it into your repertoire of songs, and that's when growth begins. The more theory you add, the more application you add, the more your understanding of the placement of chords around melody grows, and the more you grow musically. And all I look to do, that's my number one desire, is for you to grow musically. I'm 10 years behind, maybe even 15 years behind where I should be musically because I had to figure this out by myself with no support from area musicians, church-wise. No one was going to come to my house when I was 13 and 12, or 12 and 13, plucking at the piano, trying to figure out what am I hearing in my head and all this music I'm listening to. Where is it found? It's here, but I don't know how to find it. And when I would ask in a church setting, after the service, of course, musicians who just played and wowed the audience, and I saw the response they got when they played, when I would walk up to them again, at the end of service, when they weren't being bothered, and say, how do you do that? They would stop playing if they were playing for their friends, and for an organ, push all the drawer bars closed and turn it off. And as a 13-year-old, I could not understand that. All I wanted to know is, can I see what you're doing? Can I hear? So I can run back home and try to do that. So I'm from that era. I don't know if that still happens now. I always do ask that because I see a lot of musicians now have shedding sessions that didn't exist back in my day, where they openly share or perhaps show what they can do, and then everybody pulls out their cell phone, which wasn't back in my day. We had corner street telephones. You dropped your dimes, and again, that's my day and my era. But musically, um, I would have felt I feel I would have benefited going to a music school where I could have sat under professional music teachers, and because I love scoring and composing and arranging also, I can hear in a melody different ways to approach a song and still get a different sound out of it. And you will see me doing some of that for my in the Christmas season. I'm going to um, the holiday season. I say I will do a live stream where I will be uh, playing with some Christmas pieces that I've created that are on MIDI files. I'm going to import them into my either Pro Tools or into another keyboard I have, and I will actually play along with those files as I created them back in the 90s, I think. So it's going to be a fun time to be able to exhibit some other styles of playing that's not church wise. Church music is fine, but I'm versed in many styles, and I enjoy, I love, you see, when I play, going off into a different realm music wise, and then coming back in, of course. Well, I've been here now, let's see, another 2 hour stream. Um, no real songs, some demonstrations. Let me thank those who have come in. Jeg, Andrew, and T drums, DB, Moshe, Daniel from Guadalajara, Jeff Armstrong, Barb, I believe you're from the Facebook group. Thank you all for coming in. There's 11 viewers now. Appreciate those who are in the background watching. I didn't type in, let me know who you are, but I do appreciate you coming in. Um, we'll probably have more of these conversations where we can just talk, share some things, answer any questions that you might have. And I will question whether or not is my approach helping you. And yes, I do insist you go to the other YouTube sites. Some get an actual fee for their services. If they're worthy, pay that fee. Me, I just like your viewership. I am monetized here. Mrs. B flat, Ms. B flat. You're catching me at the end of the stream, but you can always watch the restream. I said I am monetized here on YouTube, so just your viewing adds to the AdSense that goes to my monetization, which allows me to upgrade my equipment and to pay for the software that I actually do get. And I want to be able to create an atmosphere where musicians can come and won't be criticized for what they can't do, but they will ask, how can I help you get better at what you're actually doing? A lot of guys don't really want to give you the meat, not even chord types. They'll tell you something kind of cliche, hey man, practice all your scales and learn all your M's. Yeah, I didn't even get that. I got the cold shoulder, the look away. I'm trying to remember how it was said to me. It was something like, if you just keep practicing, don't worry, you will get it in time. And I'm like to myself, practice what? Tell me what to practice. It wasn't until I got books, and I still have them stacked up over here, chord books that show me how you form a C major chord correctly and how you form a seventh chord. And when I saw those, I'm like, oh, No wonder my hands hurt trying to form this chord. Spread your fingers and form it like this. And then I would practice. I'll show you what I would practice, because this is important for musicians, so that you don't hurt your hands practicing. Now I was a youngster, so I didn't have very large hands. My hands began to expand as I got older. But I would try to play a C chord like this, because this is all I could figure out, not knowing that this is the correct way, or like this is how you would play it. When I looked at the books and they said 1 through, and I would go, okay, but what if I want to do an octave? As my hands grew and I extended out to here, I still wanted to play these notes. But now my hand had got larger, and now I can reach all of these notes. Because I would hear guys playing, and I heard all of these notes. So as my hand begins to grow, I would practice this. Now I am a Trekkie, live long and prosper. I would do this because I wanted to see if I won't move the middle finger, that's disrespectful, I'll hold that there. But I would practice this. Can I independently move the fourth finger, move the thumb, move the pinky, and then go to the keyboard and practice this. And then learn how to manipulate notes. This I wanted to learn to do so bad when I was a youngster, and nobody would even show me this. Back up. That was a big thing back in my day, and I would want to learn to do that so bad, and musicians would stop playing, so I couldn't see how they were doing this. And once I learned how to do it, I go, oh, that's all they're doing. They're just dragging. I began to expand on it. I brought it out and added a little more, and at the end to it. Then I would go. Again, if musicians are afraid that if they show you their chords that you're going to play it better than them, then they need to go back and practice, or get another approach to playing that, build on those chords themselves. There we go. I'm trying to get that to move. So your hands, if your hands are small, don't expect to reach this chord and not be in pain. Took me a while to get comfortable doing this. But practicing the correct way helped my hands to be able to get more comfortable when I wanted to do any kind of a change. Been a while since I've done that. Always want to be able to change it up. I've never heard of inversions until I got on YouTube. Oh yes, this is all in the books. Root, first, second, And you will find that I look at this as the approach that songwriters use for writing songs. Hymn writers write here, gospel music writes up here. Soprano, alto, tenor. Soprano, alto, tenor. Soprano, alto, tenor. And when you think of it in that terms, you will find that that's how the songs are written. Soprano, alto, tenor. And that's how I learned how to play choir songs, hearing where the soprano, alto, and voices rest in the song, and then just adding the rest. G flat, minor 6, jazz turn, and drop down. All a product of understanding theory, which all the older musicians had to do was point me to a book. I would have had my parents, if money was available back in that day, to go to the music store and give me a Piano 101 book, and I would have spent my entire days in that book learning a lot of this theory. In fact, I always like to pull up a workbook that I put together to be able to, back when I was instructing on the internet. I pulled back from doing that because of the expense of running a website, but I always share this workbook just to show you my desire to make sure that every musician had access to information that they couldn't perhaps get where they were. Let's pull up I'm going to pull in this page. Capture a window. Is it still in there? I want to see if I still have it in there. No, it's not. Okay. Don't go there. Who's it called? Okay, let's find it. Preview. Workbook. Okay, I always show this this is a workbook that I was using and updating every 2 years from 2008 through 2011, where I did not want to have another person not understand where I get all of my chords from. Let me turn off this. This shouldn't be there. Let's get rid of that. There we go. I have a thing about being sloppy about what I do, so if I'm taking the time to put order to this, that's just me. I believe in order. Discipline, I could say. Here we go. So this is what I would share freely on the internet from all the information I have. And in this table of content, this is an actual PDF file that I share. I give the new musician information, I give the intermediate musician information, and I give the advanced musician that's playing for a church information, because I don't want anything to be hidden from them. Again, this was back in the old paper days. This is what I got out of books as a youngster. And this is what I would share. Proper fingering so that you don't hurt your hands. Just bring that up. I'm not that important. Let's get me out of the way. There we go. Get out of there. Proper fingering techniques, where to hold your hands, and along with that, the proper scale note names, major, minor, plus, what is it, the sharps and flats. And then I would give you also, and this was all written out. This was all typed out. The proper fingering for every scale, every major scale, 2 octaves, so that your hands don't become stressed by using the wrong notes just to practice scales. So when a musician says, well, I know my scales, then I ask them, can you play it for me in 2 octaves? And when I hear them struggle, I go, okay, I know now I need to get you this information, and I will email this out to them and say, I want you to just use this as your practice guide, so that when you come to a class with me online and I say, okay, what song you want to learn? What key is it in? Okay, play the scale 2 octaves. Then I'll know how serious they are, because I don't believe in taking people's money. You want to give it to me, that's one thing, but take it, I won't do that. No one took money from me, because there was no one there to do that in this sense. But I want to see how much information can I provide to build a musician up to a level of, you don't have to ask me what key it's in. You will know it from practicing every key. And then I included the minor scale. This is from the books that I have, and the proper fingering for both hands. The black numbers are for the right hand, the white numbers are for the left hand. This is what I went through, every key. Then I give you a basic song where you're going to use this information that you've gotten from here in, at that time, a song, and I give you the purpose of the name of the chords, and of course make you see how well you've been practicing by, if you type, back in those days you would print this out. You could practice writing in, like if you're going to an instructor, formal instructor. Then I give you the chords that's in the lesson, and then have you go and search them out. But this is the other part of it, the music theory. This is where you say you didn't know there were inversions. This is where I made that information known to everyone, so that you could have something to practice every day. Whenever you sit down, I often say, if you haven't worked on your theory the first 15 minutes before you really start to practicing, you're doing yourself a disservice, because in your practicing, you will hear the notes you want to learn from any song. They're all there. On the right, you will see I have my suggested way to practice. Let me bring this over here and extend this. This is very important. At least I always felt it was important, because if you don't know how to practice, you won't know why to practice. So I would give you if you don't have a practice routine, I would give you, based upon what I've found would help me the best to get comfortable, an opening way to practice. Pray first. You always want to be in the right frame of mind, and then turn off your cell phone. Well, turn off your cell phone first. And then I would give you, well, how long should I practice? I suggest 5 to 10 minutes. Practicing scales in every key. Practice your triad inversions. Duration 10 minutes. You say no one ever, I think Barb said, or Duns rather, you never heard of inversions until you got on YouTube. I would say practice your inversions. When you see me do a C chord and do all the inversions and flip keys and do it, that's all that is. So you can hear what you're going to be learning. Number 3, practice chord progressions and transition chords. I do give you those in this workbook, going through 6, 7. Take a break, drink water, which is what I have here. I need to drink some of that now. Don't use a transpose key. That's when, well, okay, once you've gotten past number 6, then you get to ready. Now you're warmed up. Now you're ready to practice 3 congregational songs. Now they don't do congregational songs anymore, so I guess praise and worship songs. Again, if I were to redo this book, I'd change everything in it. Uh, and then practice your preacher chords, which I do provide, congregational songs. Again, all this in preparation for when you're ready to begin learning a song, a new song, because you would have been prepared. Okay. And this is all what? 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. First half hour practicing scales, transition chords, progressions. Take a break on number 5, get some water. Soda will make you hyper. And also, your fingers a rest period. So I don't want you to just practice the same things for hours until your fingers hurt, because now you won't want to practice. But you'll be warmed up. Your knuckles will be lubricated. Your wrist shouldn't be in any kind of pain if you're playing correctly. And when I say playing correctly, let me change to, is it you? Yes. When I say play correctly, you should not be banging on your keyboard. If you're banging, something is wrong. That's why you have an amplifier button. You should be, your fingers should be like a spider crawling across the keys. Now, of course, there are times you're going to be expressive because this is a percussion instrument also, but it should not be all the time. It should be your fingers. What is it? It used to be a commercial. Let your fingers do the walking through the yellow pages. I'm dating myself, but I am old. But you should be walking across these keys. Now, if you need to give an expression to a note, then hit that note. But you shouldn't be playing like this. Some musicians that play in church like this come out and their hands and their wrists hurt because they're trying to compete with the organ. You can't compete with the organ. Don't even try to compete. You're supposed to be playing. If you're doing octave chords like this, which is what I do a lot of, but I always come out of it. I don't just stay in it. I come out and I bring the fingers in close before I spread them back out. Because if I start to feel a stiffness in here, then I'm playing too wide on my chords. It's all within reason. Of course, you see me do a lot of arpeggiated runs. That is just to keep them limbered and loose. Then I'll break into a chord, some drop twos, all just to get comfortable and to make music. You want to make music. You don't want to make yourself hurt with the pain. Where was I? Who had that? There we go. So I made sure that I was able to disseminate the information that I got out of theory books and impute that information, if that is the correct word to use, pass on the information that helped me get more comfortable. And on the left, you get the knowledge. On the right, you get the application. And this is still for the new musician. I didn't leave out the guy who's just learning how to, the guy, gal, person who is just learning how to play. With triads, do you mean major, minor, diminished, augmented, which especially sus chords, or do you recommend what is the most prominent gospel from your experience? Triads are any 3-fingered chords. Do we speak triad here? Let me see. There it is. Inversions. As we're talking about it now, let me just increase the size of this. Inversions. A rearrangement of chords known as an inversion. A chord with a root, which is usually the lowest note, and is said to in the root position. A chord with a third as the lowest note and said to be in the second inversion. Okay, a chord with the fifth note is said to be in the second inversion. So your lowest note, if you're looking at, I can't show you. Does my mouse show up on here? No, it does not. In the example of a C triad, you've got the root, which is C. That's your thumb. Your third, if you want to use your third finger, is the E, and the G is your fifth finger. The minute you switch the position of the root, which is your thumb, to the next third, that now becomes the first inversion of the root. The keys name change, the tone changes, but it's still the same sound. This is that theory that a lot of church musicians who play would not share with me, that I had to get this out of a book. And once I understood what I was looking at, first position. Now, again, I'm comfortable playing like this after all these years, but if you want to use it from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, first, your third, and your fifth, that's your root. Inversion is when you shift everything up. Now, that's your first inversion from the root. Now everything changes. When you shift again, now this becomes the bottom, and the same notes, but they're in different positions. Technically, it should be the same sound, but because you've changed positions from an audible standpoint, it's now higher. This is a C, this is a C, but it's a C in an octave higher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They say 1, but if you stay here, it's an 8 octave. 8 octave. But if you remove this, now it becomes the 1. This is where the number system can become confusing. If you say, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, well, where do you get the 13th note from? Or the 11th note from? Or the 7th note, the 9th note from? Well, it becomes a 9 if this note is still part of that family. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the 9th note. But this note has to be in place. Now, in some corners, you can take that note out and they'll say, oh, well, this is the 9th. Well, no, it's really the second note. Confusion. Well, when is it a 9th? It's a 9th when your root is there, or you want to call this the father, and all the children after the father, that becomes the 9th, technically. Now, if I go to my Chordy app, it may speak to it differently. And I got to put this in the right. This is all important. Oh. There's my inversion, but if I change, there's my inversion, but guess who is still common? That there. There's my inversion, but this note is still considered the root. When does it become a 9th? Well, they'll call that a sus, but it could also be a 9th. But if I were to do this, major add 2. Okay, so Chordy calls it a major add 2. Again, these names are designated by the software. But if you were to look into a book, they'll call that a 9th. Now, how would I know that? I will show you. Let's go back to our page here, and let's go to the end, because that's where I provide a reference chart of chords. Now, the old saying was, if you want to hide chords from a musician, put it in a book, because he'll never look there. I provided all the chords you hear me play. A great majority of them came from this book that I share with you. So we've got our roots, right? And our inversions. We've got our minor. We've got our 5. We've got our diminish. Somewhere in here we're going to see a 9. C major. And these are all that's in the key of C. Imagine you have 13 other or 12 other chords, booklets with chords in them. There's our C6, diminished 7th. It's our major 7th. Somewhere there should have been a 9th in there. I know I've seen that. All right, so it must have been another book I had. This one does not extend past the octaves, Stewart. Must be another chord book I have that extends the chords past the octaves. This pretty much is staying within the octave. Oh wait, is that it right there? No, that's not it either. Major 7th, major 6. Well, anyway, when you're counting from the root note, as you extend past the octave, that's when you begin to add the other notes. And I believe it goes as high as the 13th. But this is the information that helped me disseminate what I'm playing. Number one, what I was hearing, and see where its originations come. Wherever the lowest note that I was playing, you need the flat 7 to have the 9th chord. Otherwise, it would be an add to on the chordy app. Perhaps flat 7th. You're correct. Flat 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Take it down a step. And there's your C9. So a lot of notes need to be in place in order for it to get that designation. And as I release notes, it changes because you need to have the father or the root. The beginning note has to be in place in order for it to be called to get that actual designation. If you take off that note, now this becomes the lowest note. Take off that note, this becomes the lowest note. So when you're playing in the number system, if this chord is being called out in the 1 and you take away these notes, does this chord stay in the 1 or this chord go into 5 because there's the 5th note? Does it get into the 3 because you have that note, or is it in the 1? Because as the notes change, especially as the lowest note changes, the chord changes. So all this information that goes into your knowledge is necessary, because as you're playing songs, as you're listening to them to learn how to play them, those who are up on their theory are the ones who are responsible for how a song. Thank you, Laron, for telling me about that. I would never have. I've seen that pop up on my chordy app, but never looked at what chord I was playing. I just knew that was the designation the chordy app gave it. You have to have that flat 7th in order for that 9th to be recognized in the chordy app. This is a journey when you undertake as a young musician or an intermediate musician or a senior musician, that if you don't have a roadmap that you can rely on to guide you, your frustration can grow as mine did. My frustration was as a youngster, but once I got involved in actual music as an instrumentalist, that frustration began to wane because I was at least hearing music around me that I appreciated. And then everything I listened to on television, every commercial I would listen to, every cartoon that I would hear the Bugs Bunny cartoons when they were playing Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. I'd run to the piano and try to find those notes and would struggle. But now I can go to any key, immediately find that it's in a minor going to a major, and just play it like I wrote it, because I got an understanding of where the chords emanated from, a minor to a major to a seventh. And then when I hear those same chords being played in For Every Mountain, For Every Mountain by Kurt Carr, and in some of the um, Richard Smallwood songs, I go, oh, those are the same chords that I heard when I was a child listening to cartoons. Then it began to, the world of music began to expand. Then when I would listen to the Star Wars themes and the themes from Star Trek, I would go to the piano and I would go, oh wow, these are those chords they're using. Ah, they're going from here to here, and then revoke on here and then come back. When I would listen to, for those of us that are of the Charlie Brown era, there's no one that did not want to hear the Linus and Lucy theme. I would go to the piano and try to figure out, how are they doing that? How are they getting that just the left hand? Just learning that much. Then I would say, well, gee, how do I get the right hand to now do what it's going to do it? So it began to open up not just church music for me, but everything I've ever heard as a child, that I can now go to the piano or to the organ and now live out that music, because I got an understanding of the placement of notes, the manipulation of the fingerings to reach those notes so it's not killing my hand, and the technique which is being used to get that particular sound out. Can you please play For Every Mountain by Kurt Carr? I think I do have I have a YouTube lesson on that. Let me change Chordy app to the key of F, because that's what key it's in, even though it uses an E, a D minor formula for that song. And I always got to get in sync for that song, because I've got to hear all the minors in there. And again, D minor is F major, same notes. A minor, A major 7, E flat, E major, E 7th, A 7th, back to E minor. Now this change. 7s, E flat, a minor 6, into a 7, into a D7, and for this I give you, and this one always gets me, minor, we're in D minor, your half tone change, now in F, A7 to D7, and diminished chord, then G minor, there's your jazz change. Now we're repeating with an inversion. Your half tone chord, G7, diminished chord, E7, down to, I'm gonna change key into a 7th, and we're up to E flat. F's, the B flat 7. Now we're in E minor, which is also G major. B, and resolve. Once you know the pattern and the path, no matter what key it changes into, up to A. And it continues to go up. It's all based on theory. Again, I'll call out chord names before I call out the numbers, because you need to know what chord is being assigned to a number. Once you know the chord name that's being assigned to that number, it becomes a lot easier to manipulate that chord. That would be a 2 in the F, a 5. All those chords are in the 5. The 7, actually a 2, 7, 2, 5 in D major. We're back in F. Now we're in B. Now we're in E. No, A. Now we're in E flat. A 1 in E flat. Now we're in E. Now we're in A. Now we're back in D. So what numbers would you assign when a song changes keys? That's my question when they give you the number system for learning a song. A song like this is changing so many keys. Where is the one? Because if you kept everything in F, let's see, if I kept everything in F for every mountain, okay, F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so the 6, 5, 4, 2, 6. But now our 6 is a major 7th and not a minor. 3, no, 2, 1, 7, 6. I gotta change the key. Go to the 2, to 3, to the 6, 3, 6, 5, 4, 7, 3, 6, 2. I'm staying the F. 1. But now we're going to E flat. 1. No. D. Okay. 7, 6. 3, 4, 5, 2, 1, 7, 3, 6. So many chords would have to change in the song to stay within the number system of just the root key of the song, which is the key of F. It's just in a classical tone. As I say, I think I did post a entire walkthrough for every mountain and the chords from the actual song. I believe I was trying to get off, wasn't I? Going on to 3 hours now. But again, this is the type of conversation I like to have, to be able to not only talk about music, but to demonstrate the approach that helped me to become comfortable. I don't consider myself an expert. I'm just accomplished. If I need to play something or need to learn a song in a church setting, then I'm accomplished to be able to say that I can play for a Catholic church, Protestant church, Episcopalian church, Lutheran church. I've already played for a United Methodist church, cut my teeth in the Pentecostal Church of God in Christ, and played in a Baptist church. And all music is just music. It is just the era in which the music that is asked for. Spirituals, anthems, contemporary gospel, quartet singing, urban gospel, the jazz gospel, which is I'll put Thomas Whitfield in that range. His music was a gospel jazz feel. The Kirk Franklin style, which is more of an urban, smooth urban jazz style gospel, because his chords generally revolve around 2-5-1s. If you listen to a lot of his songs, They're all revolving around 251 um, themes in his music. The big band sound of John P. Key, very loving his music because I love that big band sound. The big band sound of the huge choirs from the Mississippi Mass Choir, Clay Evans, Milton Brunson, those big band full choir sounds. Hey, how you doing, Burgess? The Well, they were all built on the Nashville system. They just incorporated musicians who knew how to play outside of it, but they stayed in that Nashville system. Now, the classical stuff, it's got the minor chords in it. The Nashville system has what? The two, the three are minors, the six is a minor. So three minors: major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, or diminished. So it's got the diminished chord, which is a minor with a flatted fifth. That's a diminished chord. It's extended out when you add more notes to it, but generally it's a diminished chord is a minor chord and you're flatting the fifth note. Diminished chord. Major, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. I'm sorry, diminished with an F, right? Major, major, minor, minor, major, major. That should be a minor, right? There's your diminished chord, which is, if it were a minor, flat the fifth note, you get diminished because we're staying in the chord family. As long as you stay in the chord family, then you have to have the seventh will always be a diminished chord because you're staying in the chord family. That's a family of scales. That's a family. The minute you add another note, you're now out of that. You now added someone additional to that family, which means somebody gets left off. If you go here to a minor family, this note now gets taken out, and this now becomes a new family. But if you kept it major, then you can't have this in there unless, of course, you are making a chord from that. You get that tension. Two people can't occupy the same space, the same zone, so somebody's got to be taken out unless they are repositioned somewhere else. Even still, that sounds horrible unless you do that. You got to add more to it to make it sound palatable music-wise. But any minor chord, you flat the fifth, it becomes a diminished. Any minor chord, flat the fifth, becomes a diminished. Any minor chord, flat the fifth, becomes a diminished chord. I don't care where you get it from. The minute you flat the fifth, you've got a diminished chord, which is how close these chords that you hear playing by musicians, how close they are. They change one note and the whole sound of the chord changes. It becomes diminished. Flat the fifth, it becomes a diminished. So once you understand where diminished chords come from and you hear it in the song, that's what you'll look for. It's already sad when it's a minor chord. That's a sad sound. That makes it even sadder. Diminished chord makes it even sadder. But add some chords around that. Now it doesn't sound as sad because you've added some more happier notes around it. Let me see. Yeah, we'll resolve that. Is that a change I would use? Okay. All right. But in order to get that sad sound from a diminished chord out of a song, you have to add more notes around it to sort of support its sound. change the way it sounded. It's still there, but then you also get to resolve into a more happier tone, be it a sus chord if you don't have that flatted seventh, or into a root chord. It is music is it is a language that many listen to, and it either saddens them or invokes a memory, usually a good one, where they were when they heard. Autumn Leaves song does that too. Autumn Leaf resolves around the 3, 6, 1, 4. Trying to remember Autumn Leaves because I wanted to learn how to properly play Autumn Leaves. And that, I diminish. Six. No. I know. I should know this. And turn around. Now my ears are fighting with my brain. I'm thinking I'm trying to show you an easy way to play it, and my ears are saying, find the correct scale, the right note, the chain, my half tone, the lowest note in the scale. Da, 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 da. Turn around, half tone. 2, 5. I usually don't play in this key, because that's why this is when I go fishing. My half tone. Da, 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 da. It's in that fan. Anyway, it's my brother who stepped in and now got me looking at a song in a different way. And that's my brother Virgis Talbot. He's the oldest in my family. I'm not the only musician. I'm just one in the number. But and we both have a love and an affinity for playing music, first as it was developed, and then adding our own spin to it, giving it another look at musically, because music shouldn't just stop with the creator, but with everyone who wants to emulate that sound. Approaching the 3 hour mark. So again, I thank all those who have come and have participated with your comments. Those who will be watching this stream, if you want to watch all 3 hours of it, please um, leave your comments. I do read them as you see. Request those songs which are going to assist you in either becoming a better musician or in learning a song that is going to help you in your approach towards supporting the local ministry you play for. If you're a musician who just likes to play for your own enjoyment, you can also request songs. I do give preference to the church musicians because that's who I am primarily here for. But anytime I'm approached with learning a song that I've never heard before, as you can see, I look to learn also. Never, never. I never have the mindset that I know it all. I know what I know, and then I approach what I know in the best way that I can approach it, and I'm always willing to learn more. When does the learning stop? When I do. If I lose the ability of my hands to play, then my mind will still be able to see music as I heard it, and maybe you hook a machine to my brain and I'll be able to play that way. The way technology is going nowadays, it's probably already there, so it's not time to take it off the shelf. But I do appreciate those who have come and spent some time with me here in my basement studio where for the last 25 years I've been supporting musicians all over the world with my approach to playing music. And your support by your viewership makes it possible to keep up the equipment that I use. The microphone that I'm on right now was purchased so that I could get this big one, which I purchased, off my face so I can be seen a lot better. It's still here though. I will use it in cases, but this lapel mic is doing a tremendous job. The sound is good. It's not, my face is not blocked by it. So your support helps me to stay current. This has been excellent. Thank you for all you have done already. I haven't requested any because you have already done so many that I would have requested. Thanks. Not a problem. And that brings up a very good point, Barb. If you're going to request a song on my page, there is a search engine. Try typing in the name of the song you're looking for, and it should come up because it'll search all the keywords that I put. If you're looking for something gospel, type in gospel, and everything I have gospel under will pop up in your feed. Or if you go to the various playlists, all the viewer requests are in this own playlist. So you can go in there and search through a particular song you want to learn. Let me see if I can do that. I should be able to bring up my page and share what my page looks like. There we go. There's my page. I should be able to share that page right here. Who are you called? Okay. There you are. So you're not going to see me. I'm covering myself up while I bring this up. That is my home page that you all can go to. And in that page, you can see I have gospel video lessons. I have videos, which is every video that I do. I have all the shorts that you see me post. I have the most popular videos, and the most popular video is 11 years old. That's the most views. We've got the live streams in there, and as you can see, I have a separate one for viewer request. Uh, and I would think it should show the newer ones, but I guess it's also going by the most popular video in the viewer request. But if you go into play all, no, I don't want to play all. I want to show the, oh, here we go, playlist. So in the playlist, I have software review, gospel music theory, my attempt at doing B-roll music. Again, I'm trying to do everything. Hammond organ mentoring, all my shorts. Here's all the viewer requests as updated today, which it should have been. Gospel video lessons, all the live streams, contemporary gospel. If you want to learn about spirituals, the Hammond organ sound, traditional hymns. I have one that's called Skype summary lessons. These are people who paid for full lessons, and I would put the summary of their lesson on my Facebook page so they'll always have a record of it, and I can share with those that perhaps can't afford a Skype lesson. Chords of the day, which I generally tag everything into chords of the day. My Xbox video games, I'm not very good at it, but I'm trying to expand what I do. What is this? My favorites. Okay, these must be my lessons that I'm learning. That's probably for me. And my gospel keyboard clips. That's all of the playing that I was doing in my earlier days are in there. This is from 8 days ago. Let's put a freeze on that. But as you can see, it has everything that I've done. That's 60, 70. Again, it's 1,900 videos. 100 videos in this one playlist. So there is tons of stuff here that I make available for everyone because I don't want anyone to feel like they're being left out. I want to get rid of this, get you out of the way, exit stage right. So I made sure that I put enough information out there so that anyone who desires a place to go, a safe spot, so where they don't have to ask someone and feel like they have to wait to hear how to help them with a song that they need to learn pronto for their choir or just for themselves, that I give you a space where you can go. And if not gets me directly on a live like this, go into some of the lives I've done in the past or some of the styles of music. As I say, the Christmas season will be upon us soon, and I have 2 series of how to play Christmas songs. I'm not going to add to that series because I can't Hark the Herald Angels Sing. It's always going to be Hark the Herald Angels Sing unless you're rearranging it. But I give you the traditional way it sounds with a gospel feel. So if you're doing for the holiday season, if you're doing a cantata, or if you're doing an afternoon program where you're giving gifts to children and you want to play the traditional Christmas tunes and you don't know but Silent Night. Usually everybody knows Silent Night and Joy to the World. Those are generally the 2 major ones everybody plays. But I give you Oh Holy Night, God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. Let's see, I don't think I called it Christmas songs though. I may have to go back and find them and then rename it my Christmas songs. I want to look and see where I put them at. Traditional hymns, 174 hymns. Are they in there? I'm just looking to see if that's where they are. Traditional hymns. I should just do a search. I'll probably find them. So that's a lot of videos. Here we go. So yes, they are found in the traditional hymns. I've got Silent Night, It Came Upon a Midnight Clear, Angels We Have Heard on High, Oh Holy Night. These are songs that you could add to what you currently do. I thought I had more in there, but I may have got them tagged at Christmas. Okay, come let us adore him. Another version of Oh Holy Night. A medley of Christmas songs. Jesus, Oh What a Wonderful Child. So they're all in the traditional hymns folder. Go Tell It on the Mountain is in there. If you want to, again, perhaps you have your listing of songs. We may, like some churches, only celebrate the Christmas season on the Sunday before Christmas, and after that, you don't sing it anymore. Trying to see what else I have in there. That's all I have in there. What happened to what should have been in there? The Virgin Mary had a baby boy. I'm sure I played that one. I may not have tagged that into traditional hymns, but I give you a place to go to experience some of these sounds that are traditional to a church setting. Oh, okay, yeah. Uh, Again, my main channel, go to traditional hymns. I think I have called out about 8 hymns that are in there. And if it was traditional, I did not make it jazzy. I kept it traditional, something you would hear in a church on a Sunday where a congregation could actually sing to. And I would generally put it in the key of that song. So if the key was in F for Angels We Have Heard on High, that's the key I played it in. If Silent Night is in B flat, which it is in the hymnal, I played it in B flat, and you got all the verses. I try to be a musician that gives you every approach to a song, from the traditional to contemporary to a little jazzy if requested on a viewer request, so that you can see how the melody stays the same, but the type of song changes to fit the narrative of the season, or not season, but the narrative of the actual style. The Pentecostal style is double tempo, and you're basically running away with it. So I had very few of those, except if you get into the real Pentecostal type songs. But for most part, it'll be a way where you can actually not enjoy it, but actually learn from it. Again, the earlier ones did not have the Cordy app. Cordy app only came into existence in 2020. But from the Cordy app 2020, I've got well over 600 songs, I think. I've at least 600 using that approach, so I didn't leave anything out. All right, I've kept you long enough. It's over 3 hours now, 3 hours and 8 minutes. Thank you all for spending this time with me. It's only Monday, October 23rd, and I'm going to try to have more lives so that I can not only speak to you real time and not off of video, but be able to communicate with you and take my own temperature as to, am I doing the job I hope to be doing? As often, I've always said, investigate all the other content creators on YouTube who are also doing gospel music or their version of music. The more you can get into you, the better a musician you will grow to be. Sam Tolbert, Sound of Joy Music Services, as I often say, as the preface for what my company, Sound of Joy, means, from the Psalms 100, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Take care and see you again. Bye now.